Welcome to the Deucecast Extra. This is the TV wing of the Deucecast Empire. We are here live on a Tuesday, day after Christmas. As you can see, Dr. Earl is joining us this evening.
What up?
We are going to be talking What If Season 2, the first 5 episodes, as well as Percy Jackson a little bit later with Garrison.
Garrison will be here.
Yes. Garrison and I are the Percy Jackson watchers, so we'll be doing that a little bit later. But we are very excited to be here. Dr. Earl, you did not join us for Bass Reeves.
Well,
it's okay. It's okay. You're not behind on the Yellowstone verse. You don't. There's nothing that ties it together. You're completely absolved.
It's Yellowstone adjacent. He's not part of the family.
Yellowstone adjacent. Yeah, definitely Yellowstone adjacent.
Happy Boxing Day, everyone.
Yes, apparently there's some British thing, or I guess Australian thing also, Boxing Day. I guess the Aussies probably celebrate Boxing Day as well. I don't know.
You pack up all those gifts that don't fit. You take them to.
What is Boxing Day? Somebody explain Boxing Day to me.
You box up things to return to the store.
Oh. Is that real? That can't be. That's not real.
Seriously, no. You box it up. And
what's the purpose? But what's the I don't understand. I'm not understanding.
It's the day that stores are reopened and you return your goods. I think.
Interesting.
Somebody on this chat, tell me if I'm right. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, Brian definitely knows.
Weird
what it
British
is.
holiday.
Yeah, it's a weird British holiday. I'm waiting to hear. Brian knows exactly what it's all about.
I know, Brian. Speak up.
He's the Anglophile or whatever. Andrew, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you.
Andrew, oh man,
out. We've got a good
my son.
Here, so. My son. But let us dive in to season 2 of What If. We'll just go in order here, and we'll hit this first episode. Okay, Earl is right about Boxing Day. Okay, that's good. What if Nebula joined the Nova Corps? Love the premise. Let's
real
quick go over the voice cast because I think that's relevant.
That's very important.
Jeffrey Wright, of course, is back as the Watcher.
He's back
for the whole
He's
season.
Talking.
So we don't need to mention Jeffrey Wright's name again. He's back.
He is the Watcher.
Karen Gillan is voicing Nebula.
You're doing a great job.
Jude Law voicing Jan Rog. So that's interesting right there. Michael Rooker is back as Yondu. Seth Green, Howard the Duck, loved it. Taika Waititi is back as Korg. Peter Serafinowicz is back as Garnoth Saul. And then we've got a couple characters that have different voices than originated them in the films. We've got Nova Prime, voiced by Julianne Grossman. Of course, that was Glenn Close's character.
Close in the movie.
Mm-hmm. And then Groot is voiced by Fred Tacitor. He's a classic voice.
No Vin Diesel?
No Vin Diesel for Groot. No.
The movies.
I do want to shout out some Star Wars voice actors. David W. Collins, Helen Sadler, and Matthew Wood are all additional voices. And I'm guessing they're probably additional voices throughout the whole. So this will be the first and only time we mention them. I just wanted to shout them out because they're old school Clone Wars, Rebels voice actors. And of course, Matthew Wood was General Grievous in the films.
General Kenobi.
Yeah, exactly. So he's big time. He's old school. So the quick premise that is mentioned here on IMDb is Nebula sets out to prove her detective chops when she's recruited to join the Nova Corps. Now, you know, for everybody that doesn't understand the premise of What If, it's basically like what could have happened.
Alternate
universe. In some cases, maybe in one of these episodes, I don't even know if it's alternate universe. We'll get to that later. But it's like maybe if a different choice was made in the current universe that we're in actual MCU.
Choices.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The animation style is fantastic in these. I think this season's even better than last season.
Definitely some really artistic landscapes and
very cool. As Brian in the chat has mentioned, this is very Blade Runner-esque.
Yes.
On purpose, I would assume.
Yes.
And in this particular universe, Nebula is part of the Nova Corps, basically. She's recruited as the Nova Corps, because she's hero
Nebula.
and she's recruited into the Nova Corps, and something is amiss.
By the way, Brian Andrews is the animating director.
Okay.
And so does a really good job. And he's got a certain style that he's continued on. I think it's a pretty similar style in some ways to last year.
Yeah. I just think it looks a little sharper. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, continue on. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I mean, what did you like about this particular episode? I liked this one a lot.
I like the Blade Runner vibe about it. I like the detective work. I thought Nebula. I like that scene where she sort of interfaced herself into the computer, and then of course, and I can never remember his name. What's his name? The one that Jude Law, he betrayed her, of course.
Yeah.
By the way, we are going to give spoilers, so if you haven't seen,
that's in the description. These are all spoilers.
Spoiler, baby, spoiler. So
Rog is who you're talking about.
Jan Rog. I'm sorry, I can't ever remember his name. I liked that. Of course, I love the Howard the Duck cameo, and
Seth Green's fantastic.
I liked when she came in all beat up and she fell against that machine, and he goes, "This thing's not supposed to pay out." Like all the coins are falling in on top of her.
Yeah. So in this particular universe, he owns a casino.
He owns a casino
on the planet. Yeah, exactly.
So a nice Howard the Duck moment, I thought. And then it was okay to say. I didn't need to see Drax
Korg.
or well, Korg gets a little old to me. Like he's in several of these, and hey guys, hey, so I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Korg's okay. I think after Love and Thunder, I just got a little tired of Korg and some of the humor stuff, but
he's definitely been in the Marvel universe much more than I thought he would be. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fine. He's fine in small doses. I mean,
yes. He's got a few good lines. I think it was in the next one.
He's not in this particular episode as much as he is in the fourth episode.
That's right. Yeah.
He's definitely a bigger part of the fourth episode. But yeah,
overall, I like this episode a lot, though. I thought. Now, I don't love the idea that because wasn't Glenn Close like a hero in?
Oh yeah, I mean she was the head
Guardians
of
the Galaxy.
Yeah, so Nova Prime.
I don't love taking the characters that are good in other movies and then making them bad. I know it's a different universe.
Yeah, it's a big conceit of the whole what if thing. Yeah,
but I think children watching may not always understand like why were they good there and then now they're bad, or why I just think I think you could just have other villains and not have to use characters. And this is my own personal opinion.
Yeah,
you don't always have to use characters from the other movies. But anyway. But this was a fine episode. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, again, of course, for guys like us that grew up watching Blade Runner, this was an immediate, okay, they're really pandering to the Gen Xers,
the flying ships. And
they're pandering to us with this type of thing, and I really enjoyed the heck out of it. I thought it was good. I personally don't have a problem with them switching characters because these are different universes. So I like the swerve of that. I mean, because we automatically think that that whatever his name is, Jan Rog, is going to be the bad guy just because he was the bad guy in Captain Marvel. So we automatically think, oh, of course he's going to be the bad guy again. And for a while in the episode, he seems like he's going to be the good guy. And then they swerve, make him the bad guy. He's working for Nova Prime, who's the bad person. I mean, the whole idea of this is they had Ronan, who is unvoiced for whatever reason.
Right.
They decided not to have Ronan's voice come back. They just sort of used him more as a menacing character. And
welcome, Rhett. Welcome to the chat.
Yeah, welcome to it. Thanks for your encouragement, Rhett. But
Garrison,
who won the card game, Garrison?
Oh, we don't want to talk about that.
Oh, we don't talk about that.
What game were y'all playing?
Shanghai Rummy.
Oh,
It looked like it was basically like Phase 10 when I saw them playing it. It looked like Phase 10.
I need to know.
You get like a set of 11 cards. You have to give 3 to the person on your right. Return.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And then you have to first round's 2 sets of 3, and then the next round's 1 set of 3, 1 sequence of 4, and then it
just like
kind of
Phase 10
builds.
No,
well, except for the
Not
passing
exactly,
the 3
not
cards.
exactly.
The passing the 3 cards does make it
That's
more
unique.
interesting.
That's
yeah,
unique.
that's
Yeah.
unique. That makes it.
It can
a little
really
bit
mess
more,
up your hand.
Yeah, no, that does.
bad.
That certainly makes it more challenging for sure.
I actually messed myself up. I was like, I'm gonna give something really funny to my mom this last round. I was like, because the last round's 3 sequences of 3, and so I gave her a set, and I was like, this is gonna hurt me a little bit, and then it bit me in the butt. So,
oh man, gotta watch.
So Garrison, you had a chance to watch the Nebula episode, right?
Yeah.
Thoughts on the Nebula episode?
I thought it was fine. Felt like a what if episode. I was kind of down on season 1 for there were some really high highs for me.
Yeah.
But there were some really low lows. Party Thor. And this felt like kind of in the middle of that, which was fine. You know, it wasn't the Doctor Strange episode from season 1, which I thought was probably the best I've seen so far. I have not watched 2 through 5 that's out now. And that's on me. My bad.
It's the holidays, dude. If you don't have time, you don't have time. It's no big deal. I just have no life, and so that's all I do.
I have not had vacation, to be quite honest with you. Just a weekend. And I went to the movies over the weekend, so I was
as you should
prioritize
that. We need to hear. Yes.
That's good. That's good.
But I enjoyed it. I liked the Blade Runner stuff. I mean, I was genuinely just like watching and going, "Oh, this is very Blade Runner, Blade Runner."
Like I would watch a whole I like Nebula the character, and I think having her as a detective for like 2 or 3 episodes would be like. I wish there was like a through story, more so. Like what if? So this is my thought. What if was more like you had like 10 minutes of like 3 stories that continue on across several episodes, almost like an anthology mag where
they are doing that a little bit.
Well, like, they are going to weave.
They really just take the characters you've seen before and then put them together at the end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, I think this one has a little bit of a through story. I mean, from the first season. So
and I do know that the episode with Tony going to Sakaar, because that's come out already, right? Tony going to Sakaar. That was originally season 1. That's why he shows up at the finale in season 1 in that suit.
Yeah.
Because that was supposed to be a season 1 episode, and they switched it to season 2.
No, right. We're not covering Bluey. Sorry to disappoint you.
Put it up. Post it.
Ozzy Nate would love that.
Yeah, he would. He would like that.
Oh man, Bluey.
I always like seeing Ronan. That's always a villain that I like.
I like Ronan. Yeah.
Even though he really didn't. Even though he didn't do it. Oh wow, we've got our first X comment. That was a new feature on X. Is that you can put comments on there. So we've got our first X comment. Thanks, Andrew.
Wow.
That's fantastic. I'm glad to see that actually is working. That was rumored to start this week, so I'm glad the functionality is working well.
That's excellent.
Thank you for that, Earl.
Look, Garrison's bringing the X. not what I expected.
Wow, that's fun times. So this particular episode, probably my favorite of the first 5. I think I like the third one a lot, but we'll get to that in a second. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much what this one was. This was just Nebula being a detective trying to stop the shield from getting taken down. Basically they wanted Ronan, Nova Prime, for whatever reason, wanted Ronan to be able to take over the planet, and Nebula was able to stop that from happening. In fact, Nebula was able to destroy his ship with the shield closing on the ship.
Perfect timing on that.
Very cool scene. Very cool scene. All of it very neat. So
I am also, by the way, I will agree with you guys. I was listening earlier. I'm sick of Korg. Get him out of here. I've only seen the first episode.
Hey guys, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little too quippy.
I've never seen one episode of Reacher. Sorry, Rhett.
I've seen the first episode of Reacher and really liked it.
Yeah, I don't.
And I never
so
watched
Rhett's obsessed with Reacher, so he's just going to talk about it in the chat the whole time. So
yeah, I mean, I don't understand.
He's trying to.
I don't know what the show is. I have no. I mean, I guess it's based upon that movie or something.
It's based upon the book series,
which is based upon the books, and who has time to read? So I definitely haven't read any of those books.
Based upon the movie with the 5'8" Jack Reacher.
Yeah, the short Jack Reacher.
The real Jack Reacher is like this guy's built. So.
Everybody's really hyped on Reacher. So Rhett's very into the trends, and so if everybody's super excited about a show, Rhett's gonna watch it because it's a very trendy show. It's like what everybody is watching right now. So we at the Deucecast Extra like to cover shows that no one watches.
We buck the trends like Marvel shows.
Although heck of a lot of people watched Percy Jackson. Like 13.2 million people
watched. It's going to be a big hit.
The first episode of Percy Jackson, which we will get to that. I doubt as many people are watching What If, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So let's move on to What If Peter Quill Attacked Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Give us the cast list.
Which is the second.
Harrison, are you going to hang in for this? Because we're going to do some spoilers.
We're going to spoil.
I don't care about spoilers.
Okay.
Probably knew about this a long time ago. I don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly. So this one has Michael Douglas as Dr. Hank Pym.
He's back.
He comes back. Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter. John Slattery as Howard Stark. Kurt Russell as Ego. Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Lawrence Fishburne as Dr. Bill Foster / Goliath. Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes. And then we've got the actors who chose not to show up. So we've got a couple of different people voicing other characters. We've got Atanda Connie voicing King T'Chaka. Then we've got Madeline McGraw voicing Hope Van Dyne. Now, to be fair, this is a younger Hope. She's a kid. So that makes sense. Mace Montgomery Miskell is Peter Quill. So for some reason, they couldn't get Chris. That's weird. That he wouldn't show up.
He's a kid though. You're talking about Chris Pratt?
Oh, yeah, I guess.
He's a kid. You wouldn't get Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt can do that. Anyways.
No.
You could not get Carrie Tom Bazian is Dr. Wendy Lawson. She's Marvell. And then that's about it. We've got a bunch of additional voices, of which I've mentioned already in the first episode.
Which was what? Annette Bening in the movie, isn't that right?
Marvell was Annette Bening in the film, and no, of course she's not going to take the time to come back.
It took me a minute to even go, who is that? Like, what character is this? But
yes, Terrence Howard as the gaffer. I mean,
any
actors
guys that need like a couple of $100 for some voice work. Hey, yeah, sure, I'll show up for What If.
Hey, people got to eat.
Yeah, I do it too, man. It's
for real.
Quick money.
This one, I liked the premise of it. When Ego and a young Peter Quill attack Earth in 1988, Howard Stark and Peggy Carter form a team. So I did like the whole idea of this because, what if...
And this is older Peggy Carter.
What if Yondu decided to go ahead and turn over Peter Quill to Ego when he was a young man instead of keeping him for himself like he did, in the current MCU. So I thought that was a unique idea because then you have Ego who is shaping him to kind of back this world taker, basically.
The destroyer.
And so, a destroyer of worlds. So I loved this whole premise. Now, he still had a bit of innocence to him. Like he just wanted to have a little bit of fun while he was on Earth also, but also could wreak major havoc. So
he was kind of like the Brightburn character or whatever that movie was.
Yeah, that's a good.
He's floating above with those glowing eyes, and
he was pretty creepy.
And the year's 1988, so you have
got some good music.
Older Peggy Carter, she's got gray hair.
She's got gray hair,
but younger Hank Pym. And then of course Howard Stark is kind of aging at this point, but he talks about his kid. Tony, just like as a kid, of course. And then you've got Lawrence Fishburne sort of reprising the role from Ant-Man, which he's the Goliath, or
I liked that King T'Chaka was in it.
And King T'Chaka is playing the pre Black Panther version.
Well, no, he's Black Panther also.
Well, that's true. He is the Black. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of interesting that they did the 80s. They set it in the 80s.
Well, it's just so they could use that one song.
And what was the device that helped to start to change Peter Quill's mind? I've got him on right now.
Yeah, I mean,
the Walkman.
The music. I
mean,
Walkman.
Walkman, so they couldn't defeat him, and it took Hope Van Dyne walking up with a Walkman going.
Well, I mean, she was a looker. He probably attracted to her.
Hey, he was, he was cool. He was cool.
So this one was more fun because it was set in the 80s. We got some 80s moments in it. We've got some 80s music, and so I had a good time with it. This
wasn't my favorite, I don't think.
It to me was not as good as the first episode, but I thought, again, the thing that I like about this season quite a bit is the writing seems really more sharp. Like the dialogue's really good.
It was.
It's, I mean, for an animated cartoon, which animation is art also. No, she did not have, and she was younger anyway.
This is a child. She's a child.
This is 1988. Hope. No, she did not have that horrible haircut though. That she did in Quantumania. That's a good question from Rhett. So yeah, this was a really fun one. And
okay, Brian, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, no, yes, very, very much so. That's true. Brian.
Well, and that's one of my
yeah. And that's the danger. Like if you come into these and you haven't seen like every single MCU movie, there may be some stuff in there that you just like. If you never saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 for whatever reason, you're not gonna have any idea who Ego was or that Peter Quill was. Because
you have to really know Marvel well.
You have to know the stuff. It makes it a little bit better if you know all the ins and outs of the MCU.
Now, apparently, in the second half of the season, they're going to introduce a new character.
That's the next episode, in fact.
Is it?
The Native American girl.
The Native American.
She'll be so brave and stunning that we're just going to be.
I am kind of excited about that because she's voiced by my favorite character from Reservation Dogs.
We have so many original Marvel characters to still introduce in the MCU. Yes. And we're going to create a brand new superhero character. Okay, a brand new side character or something in a movie or a show. That's fine. But
it's just an animated series. Yeah.
Oh, they're going to try and spin her off.
Oh yeah.
I hope they do. I like the actress that's portraying her. I like the actor. I'm sorry. I like the actress that's voicing her. If I see her live action,
stupid idea.
And this is my big complaint about this series in general. Everything is so attached to the movies that are already out there. And like Brian said, if you don't know those stories, sometimes I would rather they do introduce new side characters like a Squirrel Girl or I don't know, a Wonder Man, or they could have with the Nova episode, the first episode
introduced Nova.
They could have brought in Nova, and just like Rich Rider and introduce him. Was that his name? I think it is. But they just, I don't know. I feel like they just want to stick to the hey, remember this one and this
except for episode 6, which is a completely new character.
Remember Glenn Close and Guardians of the Galaxy? Right. And it's like, who was she? I don't remember. Okay. Okay, I'm done ranting. We'll go back to
that's a horrible rant.
No, that's a terrible rant. I can't do a very good rant.
All right. This episode is definitely my favorite. This next one.
Number 3. Episode number 3.
What if Happy Hogan saved Christmas? I
heard good things.
Freaking loved this episode.
It was fun.
Back on this one, of course, is Happy Hogan, Jon Favreau. Kat Dennings is Darcy, who's always fun. Colby Smulders is Maria Hill. Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer.
Awesome,
Chris Hemsworth is Thor. Mark Ruffalo is Bruce Banner. Jeremy Renner from Clint Barton. And then Mick Wingert, who I believe voiced.
He's the guy who does all the Iron Man.
I think he voiced him in the first one also, in the first season. So, you haven't seen this one yet, Brian? Oh, this one's fun. And same with Lake Bell. Lake Bell always voices Natasha Romanoff in the first season as well.
Yeah.
Same with Josh Keaton. He was Steve Rogers in the first season, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's about it as far as all the main characters in this particular episode. But this episode is basically Die Hard. Basically Justin Hammer. And this is the one. This is the one to me that might not necessarily be an alternate universe. This could be what is it? 616? Is that what we were in, Garrison?
Yeah, 616.
Mm-hmm.
So this one to me could be 616 because all it is Justin Hammer figures out a way to get out of jail.
And then you substitute Avengers Tower for Nakatomi Plaza.
Right. That's
so
basically
you get this
the whole
Die
thing.
Hard. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, this was really great episode. So he breaks out of prison, and his whole thing is to go take over the Avengers Tower to get. Well, I guess this is not in the MCU that Tony has, for whatever reason, decided to hoard some of the Hulk blood. So that's something that we assume he probably is doing in the MCU, but that's not ever mentioned in any of the films or anything like that. So that's the only thing that could lend this to be maybe not in 616, but it's the closest that could be 616 because you've got Justin Hammer coming back. He's fantastic. I mean, I freaking love that character so much. He dances whenever Sam Rockwell dances. That generally means you're going to get a good movie or television show in this case. He was really fun in this. Happy Hogan is your hero. He's your John McClane. They've got several scenes that basically are Die Hard, him crawling through the ventilation. There's even the elevator sequence where the sweater says something. It doesn't say the same thing that it does in Die Hard, but there's that same type of thing.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, yeah.
See, there's probably some references I didn't.
Oh yeah, there's some great references.
And I liked his henchman and
the two Russian henchmen. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not. What was
now we're going to be spoiling here, guys. I'm sorry. Should we talk about what happens to Happy? Or do we just
he gets the Hulk blood. So he turns
into sort of
he becomes Hulk Hogan, basically.
Yeah. This one reminded me a little bit.
See what I did there, Earl?
I see what you did. I do think some of the jokes were a little too they'd say things like, "Don't roast your chestnuts." You know, every quip was almost too Christmas baked. I felt
but I love that's what makes the episode fantastic though. It's because it's all like very 90s, like as if you were in a 90s Christmas action film. I mean, and so you had Hammer with all the clips.
Yeah,
I know it worked well for me. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was really, really fun. By far my favorite so far, and probably I can't imagine anything topping this season for me. But I also love Die Hard, so I mean it's hard for me to even think that there could be something better than this one. But I love the way that Darcy was throughout the episode. Some people that
she was fun.
She was fun. Some people thought she was maybe in the episode too much. I thought she was great. I like Darcy. I'm a Darcy stan.
I liked Colby Smulders being in it. I thought that was good.
Yeah, that was cool. Marie Hill.
They had their code words or whatever, and
she was just in it for a little bit though.
No,
but was she done justice compared to what happened in
Yes, she was done.
Invasion?
Yes, she was done much
Secret
better.
Invasion.
Yes, your bootleg Secret Invasion.
Is that a bootleg?
It's mine.
It's just a case, right?
It's just a case.
It's your version.
All it is. It's just a case.
It's just a case. It's just for the future. It's for the future.
It's for the future release. Yeah, exactly.
When they release it, you can stick it in your case.
It was good to hear Jeremy
for sure.
Nice. It was good to hear Jeremy Renner's voice back as
Clint one Barton. Line or something.
It was still good to hear him back, though. I mean, after everything that poor guy's been through, it was nice to.
And Ruffalo was in it too.
Ruffalo was in it as well.
R.I.P. The Jeremy Renner app.
The app. Yeah.
Do you know about the Jeremy Renner app?
What is that?
What's the Jeremy Renner app?
Oh, that's a great.
Is that some like 4chan Reddit thing?
No, it was an app that was like a ripoff of Instagram that he created. where he cultivated like his fans in it, and they could like buy star points and stuff like that.
I do not know that. Was that before or after the accident?
Before the accident.
Oh, this was
years ago.
Oh, this was years ago. What was it called?
The Jeremy Renner rap.
That's what he didn't have a clever name for it.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. There are podcasts and YouTube videos about it.
Okay, yeah, I need to look this up.
Yeah, it kind of ended in flames. So,
well, it's interesting. I mean, I think a lot of celebrities have tried to have like community apps. Like Karen Gillan even tried to do one that I don't know if it took off. Where it's basically they're using their name to help some tech guy start an app. So I don't know. I don't know if it ever actually came to fruition.
Michael, you okay?
Right. Yeah, you good?
Now you were losing you for
good?
a minute.
Oh, no. Good. Well, I muted myself.
Okay.
Are you ready to go to the next one?
Let's go. Number 4. What
if Iron Man crashed into the Grandmaster? So the premise of
consider the possibilities.
Yeah, the premise
Iron
of this
Man.
one.
Oh, sorry.
That was a good. That was a good watcher, actually.
Thanks.
It wasn't Truth Social. That's not what it was called, Andrew. That's not. No, that's something else. The premise on this one is the battle in New York. Basically, Iron Man doesn't make it back.
He doesn't make it back.
He gets caught into a vortex and ends up on the Grandmaster's planet, and ends up having to basically. This one was sort of cheesy to me. He has to get into this.
It's like a race.
Grand Prix demolition derby.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be season 1.
Okay, so this episode was supposed to be season 1. Okay. That makes a little bit of sense.
That's why he shows up literally in the little mech suit or whatever in Sakaar suit.
Who are some of the voice casts? Mikey, this probably.
Well, of course, we got Mick Wingert back as Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum as Grandmaster, which he was great.
Who's all over the place in this one, yeah.
Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. Taika as Korg.
Hey, guys.
I think Rachel House was Topaz in the film as well, if I'm not mistaken. Josh Brolin as Thanos. That was interesting to have her or have him included. Who else? And Cynthia K. McWilliams is Gamora. So that's kind of so. Earl, describe this one for the fans while I cough.
Well, I was just taking a cough drop myself. Me and Michael have been under the weather. So Tony Stark, he gets sucked into the planet where the Grandmaster is, and he's caught. I guess they take his armor, and they sort of, right? Isn't that right? Or they destroy his armor or something like that, and he's he's forced to race in this Grand Prix, but I guess he sort of allies with Valkyrie.
Korg and Valkyrie and all
Valkyrie.
of them. Yeah.
But Gamora is like sort of hell-bent on killing him.
Right.
Because this is not Gamora. She's like, you messed up my dad's plans by destroying the Chitauri, so I'm coming after your butt, and I'm going to kill you. So this isn't the friendly Gamora at all. This is the...
No.
And she's pretty intent on him.
She's
and then, of
pretty
course,
vicious.
The Grandmaster is also like kind of killing people left and right,
but in a fun way.
He sort of melts them, or something.
He always has. He's got the typical.
He's got the
shtick, the Jeff Goldblum shtick.
Yeah,
and so even though he seems super nice,
he's got the stick and the shtick.
And the stick. Yeah, he's brutally murdering people, even though he's doing it in a funny way.
And he's like, that's how that works. Look at that.
Yeah, look at
What's that smell? Yeah.
So this one was. I mean, this one was derivative of a bunch of different, like the Death Race 3000. I mean,
I fell asleep 3 times during this one. I had to keep running back and going, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah, it wasn't as compelling. For me, it was mostly like the Grandmaster thing was fun. I love seeing Jeff Goldblum come back, but this was the part where I was getting a bit tired of Korg. He is heavily featured in this episode, and I was getting a bit bored with him, or annoyed, I guess is more the appropriate word, annoyed with his whole thing at this point, because we had already seen him, and that makes more sense now that they probably didn't anticipate having his character twice in one season.
Right.
And because this episode was supposed to be in the first season, it feels doubled up. Like we're seeing
he's going to be one of the heroes that's all the way through.
No, see, that's what we don't want. We don't want Korg all the way through everything. And so we've seen him. This is like the second time we've seen him. It's pretty quick. I mean, so it's just like, okay.
Korg is a constant that holds the multiverse together like glue.
He is. Yes,
he is.
He's just like Wong. He shows up every single.
Yeah,
he's the new Wong.
Exactly.
Wongers. Yeah.
This one I could have. Well, no, Andrew. Some of them are a little bit longer than 30 minutes, though.
I think he's making the point that how could you fall asleep 3 times?
Oh, wait until you're our age, Andrew.
Yeah,
wait until you're our age, you youngin. You just wait.
You'll find out. You'll find out.
You will find out for sure.
I'm trying to read a book in bed at night sometimes, and I'm like,
sometimes you just can't. You can't fight it, man. Sometimes you can't fight it.
Even I'm that way, Garrison.
So this one, not as fun for me, but it's okay. It was okay. So the last one, just so we can eventually get to our Percy Jackson stuff here, is what if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper? Captain Carter's mission to save Steve Rogers sets her on a collision course with new enemies.
Captain Britain.
Yeah. Well, that's not what she is. She's Captain Carter.
She's Captain Carter, I know.
She's Captain Carter. I think they're saving that Captain Britain character for somebody else. I bet they do eventually get to that character.
Henry Cavill.
Man, don't tease me like that.
If they did an Excalibur, that would be awesome, but they won't.
So this one was cool because, of course, Haley Atwell's back as Peggy Carter. Lake Bell, who we know voices of Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson was Nick Fury. Frank Grillo was back as Brick Rumlow. Of course, Josh Keaton is the voice for Steve Rogers. Sebastian Stan is Bucky Barnes. Elizabeth Olsen was, well, we are spoiling this. She's called Wanda Merlin for a reason. And then, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was the intriguing cliffhanger at the end.
So, yes. And that's what I meant where they're tying some of these episodes together.
Yes.
Because we are going to get a later episode this season is going to pay that off. I think episode 8, if I'm not mistaken, is paying off. Let's see. Yes. Yeah, I think it's episode 8, if I'm not. Yeah, what if the Avengers assembled in 1602? Maybe. That doesn't sound right, though. I don't know. Anyways, at the end of this episode, Captain Carter gets sucked into like a. We're not sure what that is because not even the Watcher knew what it was.
Well, it was Wanda's energy because it was.
Oh, it was Wanda. Okay, I wasn't quite sure.
She got sucked into whatever the next adventure is going to be.
Whatever that adventure.
Where they're all going to be, but we don't know that till later. I feel like this episode. I'm sorry, Michael.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's kind of a mashup of like what was Winter Soldier,
yep,
and Black Widow, because you had the red what is it called? The Red Room.
The Red Room. Yeah, that was heavily featured in this episode. The whole the concept
floating above the spy, and then of course we had the Steve Rogers Peggy dynamic, which I could take it or leave it. I don't know, but
it's getting old for me. This particular episode, she was making dumb decisions for a Steve Rogers that had no interest necessarily in anything but destroying people because he was brainwashed. And so she thought it's the typical trope where she thought she could get through to him.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty much Winter Soldier.
Yeah, it's the same premise. Basically.
It's the opposite. And Bucky Barnes is he's interesting because
he's like the head.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, it's like it's in current day, so he's much older.
He's the head of S.H.I.E.L.D.
He's sort of like, well, was he
like Robert Redford's character?
Yeah, he's more like Alexander Pierce, in that manner. So Yeah, I mean,
wouldn't it be the case because you didn't have Steve Rogers,
right?
And so he probably survived the war.
Yep.
And he
exactly.
That was kind of a neat. I did like that part. I thought
I mean, the way that they twist these is fun. I mean, and unique, but I don't know. It wasn't an
this
episode.
one was okay. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely heavy girl power. Girls,
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, listen, hey, I was just listening to one of the top female reviewers, and she thinks there's just too much. She watched all 9 in a row, and she said there's just too much of that.
Well, yeah,
this
I can
season.
See from the rest of the episodes, maybe
that was Grace Randolph, just to give it, which is surprising because she's normally like you.
I didn't think she was a real person, Grace Randolph. That's a real person?
I think so.
I know, I'm just kidding.
I hear she loves Jessica Chastain. You should tell her.
Yeah, you should
reply to her with something about Jessica Chastain. She totally won't block you on Twitter.
They got in trouble, didn't they?
I don't know. Yeah, Grace Randolph.
I don't know where it spawned from, but she, yeah,
they
an interesting relationship.
They do not get along apparently, but yeah. So what we will do is cover the rest of the episodes next Tuesday, and hopefully Garrison will have caught up and watched all of them, and by next Tuesday, because they're releasing them daily.
All 9.
Garrison, that's your assignment. All 9.
Quit your job and watch it. What if?
Yeah, exactly. Watch. What if.
Quit your job.
Did you work today?
Huh?
Did you work today?
Yeah, so many people were out that I had to fill in doing
Tuesday,
my old job.
So yes.
And
Garrison,
I
worked as well.
They'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you have to work your old job," and I'm like, "You're gonna pay me that much to work my old job? Okay."
Work is for suckers.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm.
So, Dr. Earl, you're choosing not to watch Percy Jackson? You're missing out.
I have made a choice.
All right.
But I'm going to listen just for a minute.
Okay.
Because Garrison listened to us, so I will be.
That's very.
I
nice.
will show the same courtesy. And then when I can't take it anymore, I'm going to jump off.
That's really nice. So Percy Jackson was a series that I didn't know we were going to do, but I was like, you know what? Looking at the calendar, sure, why not? Let's do some Percy Jackson. I liked the creative team behind it. I liked the actors that they chose in some of these roles. I was familiar with them. So to me, it looked like it was something I wanted to try out. So, Garrison, I'm going to take a quick break while you explain Percy Jackson for Dr. Earl. I'll be right, really, just for a second. I'll be right back.
Well, let me say this. Bye, Mikey. I have seen Percy Jackson, one of the movies, with Logan Lerman, is that his name? Lerman and Alexandria Dario.
I reread the first book in preparation. You can see the red in the corner there.
Yeah, Percy Jackson.
13% of the way through the second book.
Okay.
I read
these are young adult novels, right?
These are they're young adult. They're very set in the brain of a 12 to 16-year-old basically throughout the series.
That's
kind of progresses from 12 to 16. I first read the books when I was in 6th grade. They're obviously very heavily Greek mythology based, about a kid who's the half son of Poseidon and a human mother, Sally Jackson.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I didn't mention that last time because I didn't know when exactly they were going to introduce that, and the book does kind of wait a second to tell you exactly what he is. And the show does too. I got to tell you, Earl, I rewatched the first half of the first movie after the first 2 episodes came out, and after I read the book again for the first time, and since I was in 6th grade, probably.
Yes.
And oh my goodness, it is a terrible adaptation.
So this is what we need to watch. This series.
This is a much better adaptation. I have like, there are things here or there where I'm like, why did we leave that out?
Yeah.
But that's just book brain me, where I'm like, there are plot threads we're leaving out here. Why are we doing that? And maybe they'll get picked back up and done in different ways. You
mean in the series itself? Okay.
Yeah. The capture the flag event from this episode. Mikey will remember that the capture the flag event ends with a hellhound appearing out of nowhere in the book and attacking Percy and kind of revealing that there is that the camp is not even fully safe for Percy, kind of.
And it's supposed to be like this world where the gods don't have access to it, basically.
So clearly that there's someone in the camp that has brought the hellhound in.
Someone on the inside, if you will.
Yeah. And
that happened in one of the movies too, right? Didn't they have a hellhound attack or something?
I don't think it did happen in the movie.
Maybe the second
either,
movie,
which is weird.
Oh, well.
They also got rid of Clarice for the movie. So like Clarice, the bully character in the show and the book, it doesn't exist. And he fights Annabeth, who's on the opposing team in the movie, even though that's not how that is in the book or the show. They work together. Yeah, weird choices. Anyway.
Okay. Well,
let's really enjoyed these first 2 episodes.
Yeah, no, I did too. And gosh, the 3rd episode's already out. They look, here's the reality of it is they release on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And since we do extra on Tuesdays, it's like literally a full week before we're going to talk about episode 3, which is already out. It's at a 9.7 right now on IMDb. Now,
whoa,
that's high. That's super high.
That's high praise.
And that's 52. That's high for 52. So these first 2 episodes are at a 7.6 and a 7.9. So I'm guessing that 9.7 will come down a little bit unless that episode is just that good, which makes me really excited. But the first episode is called I Accidentally Vaporized My Pre-Algebra Teacher.
Which these episode titles come straight out of the book. They're chapter titles in the book.
That's great. So this is the setup episode. Now these first 2 episodes are directed by James Bobbin. So if you're a Flight of the Conchords person,
he's good. Yeah, he's a good director.
Yeah, and he's directed. Did he direct one of the Muppet movies? I think
he
maybe
did.
Muppets Most Wanted, or maybe he did the first one also.
He did the first one too.
So, anyways, yeah, he's a good director, and works well with kids, I think.
I'll tell you the thing I really enjoy about the series is really Percy's the narrator of the entire main 5 books.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, when we get to this show, you spend so much of the books inside his brain with his snarky comments in his brain. How does that translate into a show where you're not inside his brain? We do get a little bit of narration at the beginning, which I liked because it's basically the first paragraph of the first book. The Half-Blood little thing he says at the beginning. But otherwise, you can't stay in his head like that forever. And I really like the way they handled a lot of that stuff and the humor there. Because, again, a lot of that's internal in the book.
Yeah, and for me, so I have not read the books, but this particular type of book, I would call it, it's very Harry Potter derivative in a way. I don't know which came first. I'm not saying that Rick...
Harry Potter came first.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that Rick Riordan's like, oh, I'm just going to copy the Harry Potter, because there's like this fetch quest that ends up being introduced for the second in the second episode, that basically, to me, feels like, okay, the premise of here's your MacGuffin, but maybe that's not the real overarching story. But here's your MacGuffin to keep the story moving.
I would say Harry Potter absolutely inspired it. Percy is kind of a chosen one in a sense, and you get more of that as the story kind of progresses past the first book. There's kind of more prophecies that pop up with Percy kind of at the center of it. Grover is kind of the friend who doesn't have a lot of courage, kind of like Ron in a sense.
Yeah.
But as the series progresses, that obviously will progress as he progresses. And Annabeth is very Hermione-like in terms of her smarts and cunningness. I think she's a little rougher than Hermione in terms of how she treats Percy, but
yeah,
especially in the show. But yeah, I mean, I would absolutely say that this book was published in 2005. It was written as kind of a story, I think, kind of based on his son a little bit, Rick Riordan's son. His son had like ADHD and dyslexia, and he was trying to write a story kind of about, a kid who found out that those things weren't really hindrances for him, but more, I guess, pointing towards him having, the half-blood abilities, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, of course. Something that was interesting to me. So the whole premise of and this is from the outside looking in, since I haven't read the books and I'm trying to figure out this world. So this school or camp it's not a school. I've got to be careful there. It's not Harry Potter. It's a camp where all these demigods are. Most of the demigods have been, what's the term that they use? Not chosen or not picked or what?
I know what you're talking about. They've been claimed, basically.
They haven't. That's it. They're unclaimed by their fathers or mothers, I guess. I don't know but whatever.
One or the other. Yeah.
So they're in these different houses at the camp or in these different, campground areas, and they're all in different houses. I'm like, man, does this mean that the gods in this particular universe, the gods had a lot of relations with human beings?
Well,
a lot.
And that's also kind of a thing that happens in Greek mythology too.
Sure.
I think that's kind of why, Rick went with this story. Because
It's
guys like Perseus and Hercules and
right,
a lot of demigods already existed.
Yeah. Okay, well, that makes sense.
And you notice that I don't know if they explicitly said this in the show. I feel like they did, but all the kids who were unclaimed go in the Hermes cabin because Hermes is the god of travelers.
That's right.
It's a place for them to stay.
Yeah.
Until they're claimed, basically. And sometimes kids go unclaimed for their whole life, but they're accepted in the Hermes cabin because they're all travelers. Okay.
That's interesting. So some of the other cabins are claimed demigods, but they're just hanging out learning skills at this point. Is the whole deal or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
and there are several cabins that are never supposed to have anyone inside of them.
Yeah, we see towards the end that Percy's the first to go in Poseidon's cabin.
So Poseidon, Zeus, and Hades have a pact. Did they mention the pact? Which
they did.
Their children were too strong.
Yes.
And so they wouldn't have any more children. And that's been broken, clearly. There are more instances of that being broken already that they've kind of talked about, but we'll get around to that when we get around to that.
So in the first episode, it's obviously introducing the viewer to the world, like everything that happens in this world. Now, one interesting thing that I didn't understand at first is that Megan Mullally's character was a person that wasn't really there, that nobody could see except for Percy.
Well, the students could see her at the time when she was acting like a teacher, but then as soon as he wiped her out, everyone lost memory. Everyone that was not a part of the Greek god stuff lost memories of her in the mist. Kind of, they refer to that a lot as the mist. People can't really see past the mist. They can't see the monsters. And once those monsters are wiped away, humans kind of just rationalize away whatever's happened in front of them.
So one thing so she's Electo or whatever. One thing that I didn't quite understand, and maybe the teacher in the wheelchair said this at some point. Chiron, I guess, said it at one point that she was a minion of Hades. Is that correct?
She is a oh Lord, not a harpy. What do you call it? One of the three.
A siren.
No, she's got the wings.
Well, that's a harpy then.
I can't remember. Well, yes, but no. But they're not called harpies. They got a specific name. It's in the book.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't.
Well,
they're
obviously, but they're pulling it from Greek mythology, though.
Yeah,
I like that name. Okay.
And she sent him. Hades has sent her.
Yeah, that's what
after Percy for a reason.
Yeah.
She asked him a question. I would pay attention to those kinds of things.
Yeah. What was the question? Go ahead.
I think it was, where is it?
Right. So, yeah, that's the big deal. Like we hear that question. I mean, look, these are this is for people that have seen the episodes. These are spoiler filled, so we don't have to beat around the bush here. So yeah, we figure out, and I think you told me, well, you kind of spoiled it a little bit when you were on the last episode of Extra, what the whole deal was. But it makes sense. I mean,
it's on the blurb of the back of the book.
It's on the blurb of the back of the book that basically the lightning bolt.
Someone's stolen Zeus's most powerful lightning bolt.
Most powerful.
He has others,
yeah,
but it's its most powerful.
That's your MacGuffin of the series.
And Zeus thinks Percy stole it.
Zeus thinks Percy stole it.
Yes, because Zeus and Poseidon have a rivalry.
Yeah, they're brothers. They're not happy with each other.
So Zeus thinks Poseidon put his son up to stealing Zeus's most powerful lightning bolt.
Zeus says, "Chill, baby cake."
So, but come to find out that Hades has it. Isn't that like the quest?
That's what Chiron thinks.
That's what Chiron thinks in the second episode. Mm-hmm. So he's going to send Percy, and Percy has to bring two others with him. Because basically the second episode is introducing the characters at the camp, the different cabins, the different alpha males and alpha females, I guess, that are out there, who are the most powerful, and Percy. So this girl that is the main character, one of the main characters, she has a hunch about Percy. Annabeth has a hunch about Percy.
Mm-hmm. That he's
puts Percy in the water, and boom, we see Poseidon's trident above his head, and that's kind of where that episode ends, in a way.
I thought that seems interesting. From kind of a book standpoint, they have him stand in the forest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets kind of chased all the way down to the water, which I thought was interesting positionally, because I believe in the book, someone can correct me, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I believe they station him right next to the water in the book immediately. So as soon as he is attacked, he is able to heal in the water and take down Clarice and her gang. And then he gets shoved into the water by Annabeth after she's like, "Whoa, you healed and we're able to withstand all those attacks in the water."
Mm-hmm.
And then shoves him, and then boom, Poseidon reveal or whatever. But yeah.
I liked Dionysus a lot.
Yeah.
Jason Mantzoukas. Earl, you've probably heard his name, Jason Mantzoukas. He's like a stand-up comedian, but he's been in a lot of movies as well. He plays Dionysus, and he's really funny.
I feel like Dionysus in the book was a little more of a jerk than he was, and that's not to say he wasn't a jerk. He's just kind of a different type of jerk.
Yeah, I mean, more aloof, a little like easygoing.
Yeah.
Go get me this wine. Yeah.
The other one was just straight up a jerk.
Straight up a jerk. And maybe we'll see some of that, but I mean, he didn't seem to be that much of a jerk. The other big set piece that they had, and this was more in the first episode, was fighting that
Minotaur.
Mm-hmm. Was very cool, very menacing. I was impressed with the CG for a television show. I thought it looked really good.
Yeah, that's a scene straight out of the book, and they did that really well. The car getting flipped. Into them getting out, getting attacked by the Minotaur, and the mom being disintegrated by the Minotaur in his hands. And then Percy going and getting a piece of the horn and stabbing it into the Minotaur to finish it off.
Yeah.
And keeping that as a trophy. That's a
trophy,
straight out of the book.
So yeah, I mean,
in the movie, it's terrible because his mom dies right in front of him, and he goes, and he doesn't even really react, and then he attacks the Minotaur. You actually get a moment there where you see Percy reacting to his mother's death.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew, you're not wrong. I mean, a lot of people watched this. I alluded to that, at least the first episode. I don't think they gave the second episode numbers, but the first episode number is 13.2 million people. Now, what they're doing wisely is splitting it between Disney Plus and Hulu. So they're letting I don't personally know many people that don't subscribe to both, except for Dr. Earl. He's like one of the only ones that I know that only subscribes to Disney Plus.
One day there'll be one service.
Very soon, I think. Where Dr. Earl can maybe watch some of these good Hulu shows. But so what they're doing is combining Hulu views and Disney Plus views to get that 13.2 million number. So look, I mean, that is a lot for a streaming show. So I mean, that's promising. I guess again, I'm an outsider because I haven't read the books. I don't realize how popular the books are. Apparently they're pretty popular. They came out, like Garrison said, in 2005. That missed me a little bit for the age range as far as like YA reading is concerned, although I have read Harry Potter. But this series seems popular, so I'm glad that the adaptation seems to be working.
I see. It was kind of like, so if we talk about like tier standards, when I was growing up, I would say Harry Potter was like the top tier.
Sure.
The one that every kid knew. They didn't even have to read it. Most of the kids watched the movies, even if they didn't read it.
Right.
They all knew who Harry Potter were. They all knew who Hermione Granger, Ron, Weasley, all that. But Percy was kind of on a tier kind of one or two below that in terms of things kids read. I would probably put Hunger Games above that, which came out around the same time.
That's unfortunate.
I'm not talking about book quality or even movie quality.
That's fair. That's fair.
Although I did read the Hunger Game books in middle school and enjoyed them, so I don't know. It's
Hunger Games feels like beyond YA to me, though. Like it's a bit in the terms of the violence level. Seems a bit higher than
it was
Percy.
Really middle school centric. Pushed in middle schools a lot. So
okay.
I'm sure. See, here's the thing though. Like I read books that are kind of pushed YA or just above that, kind of adult fantasy that's not super violent. And still in those books, there are things on the page that make me go, this couldn't be adapted. This scene here probably couldn't be adapted into a PG-13 movie. You'd have to do it a little differently or show it not on screen, in the shadow of something or whatever. You can get away with a little more. You can get away with a little more in books. I have never seen Twilight. I've never read Twilight. I don't plan to read or watch it currently.
Team Bella. I don't know.
Wait.
I don't know.
What else did Robert have to choose between?
Robert Pattinson.
Edward.
Well, yeah, all of them were Team Bella. All the guys were. Team Bella.
Maybe I don't.
You got to be either Team what?
Edward
Jacob?
Or Team Jacob. Yeah, I'm always Team Jacob. Team Jacob for the.
Is he the Wolf Man?
He's the Wolf Man. Yeah.
He imprints on her. Yeah.
And that's what they call it in the books. All right, back to Percy.
So okay, Percy.
But to me, like, that's a big number. I don't even think like Star Wars is getting those numbers on Disney Plus. Like if I'm like,
Mando is the best performing show of anything on Disney Plus, and it crushes. I need to compare like the raw number to number. I don't know.
For some reason, that 13.2 million.
13.2 is pretty good, though.
That's solid.
Yeah.
I mean, that is super solid. And that's the first episode within the first. How they do it with streaming services is weird. Like they'll say within the first 4 days is what they're putting that. They're saying within the first 4 days, 13.2 million people between Disney Plus and Hulu watched this first episode. Now, what they didn't reveal is how did that second episode hold? For me, I watched them as if they were both available the same day. So I don't understand a person that would not watch the second episode because the first episode is your setup. It hooked me, and I've never read the books. I still, and I'm not being mean here. I know Walter is of a certain age, the actor. His voice is just a little like high pitched for me. His
voice really works for Percy though, because Percy is a 12-year-old boy at this point. He is in the 6th grade. You should hear how kids in the 6th grade sound.
No, I get it. No, you're right. I mean, but that was the one thing when he was in the Adam Project also that I was like, God, this kid's voice. Like, he's a good actor, but his voice is just, I know.
Puberty is a thing.
I know.
And that's the thing, is this story progresses.
Yeah.
Let the boy babysit your grandmother.
What?
That's all we're asking.
What are you talking about? Yeah, Andrew, I'm the same way. I really the show hooked me. I think it's a well done, what I would call a well done YA show. Okay, calm down, Andrew. Let's slow down. He's
pretty good.
He's good.
He could get some big recognition from this show.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I think that he does have the potential to, because he as the show leader, as Percy, the main character, he's doing very good. I mean, it's a show worth watching, Earl. If you have any interest in Greek mythology or anything, I'm commenting on this, Earl, not the one that's on the screen. Earl in the chat, if you like Greek mythology, or have any knowledge of Greek mythology at all, it's a cool show to watch. I think it's fun. I think it can interest kids in that. So I like the idea of that. Any show that can maybe interest kids into, I don't know, looking up some Greek mythology is always cool with me.
The thing I like about Percy Jackson and how it progresses is, or how the characters progress, is every god kind of has a specialty, and all these guys kind of eventually figure out what they're really good at. And I think you've seen from Annabeth so far, she's the daughter of Athena. She's really good at strategy, wit, know, being able to move chess pieces around on a battlefield. But she's a decent fighter, but she's not necessarily like Percy's going to be kind of your brute force, especially around water, sword fighter.
Yeah,
as you've seen his sword, Riptide. Have they said the name yet? It's Riptide.
No, I don't think they ever said the name of the sword yet.
It's Riptide. It's also a Greek name too, but I'm gonna butcher that.
Okay.
So I'm not even gonna try that. But yeah, it's Riptide in English. It's a cool. I love that pin thing when I was in middle school, because obviously you have pins all the time when you're in middle school. I love the idea of just uncapping a pin and it grows into a sword. It's such a cool fantasy thing. And the way it's introduced in the book, and it's introduced similarly in the show, where the teacher gives it to him right before he has that interaction with Miss Dodds. The creature. Now, the thing in the show I thought was really interesting in the book. I mean, he uncaps the pen, it turns into a sword. He swings on the teacher in the book.
Oh, they didn't do that in the series.
In the series, they kind of obscured the sword in the first scene, and I went, why are you hiding from the audience that that's a sword? I don't know why they did that.
A bigger impact when he fought the Minotaur, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I just was like, what an interesting choice, because we know it's clearly a sword in the book at that point. We're like, oh, wow. And then what they really do in the book is when everyone starts to go, what are you talking about, Mrs. Dodds? You're kind of starting to think, oh, maybe Percy's crazy. Like everyone else, including Grover and the teacher, are like, what are you talking about? And those are the people we've really relied on to this point. When Grover lies about Percy in the show, I don't even remember that necessarily from the book. That felt like a really obvious thing that Grover was lying in that moment, and was kind of in on this whole thing. In the book, you're still kind of questioning, sort of at the beginning, is everything that Percy's seeing real or not? Yeah, Earl's dropped out. Anyway,
I removed him.
Oh.
He was taking a little nap.
He was. He was. I noticed.
Oh, wait. He's back. Earl, you don't have to stay if you don't want to. It's okay.
I was resting my eyes, but I probably need to go turn on a movie and then fall asleep with that. So
let's turn on what was the episode?
I need to go watch Percy Jackson.
Dude, not when you're tired though. It's it's worthy of watching. It's a good series. And apparently this third episode's got a 9.7 rating on IMDb. So that's what I will be watching.
Straight to that. I'm just going to go straight to that.
I started to get a little mad at the end of episode 2 because they start talking about the quest.
Yes.
And I was like, where's the prophecy? Because the prophecy kind of is massively important to the quest. And it's massively important to setting up several, like obviously they say things in prophecy and you start going, where are those things going to happen? When are these things going to come? And by the time we get to the end of the episode, it seems like, they're decided he's going to do the quest. And we did get that little tease at the end. They start showing clips of the next episode.
Yeah, I saw that.
I like that.
You
see the Oracle of Delphi in that little section. So I was like, okay, the prophecy's coming, because that's one thing they actually skipped in the movie, and it makes no sense.
Yeah, that's an important part.
It would totally kill some plot points across the entire series. I mean, it's just
and that's a big deal about like Greek mythology. There was a lot of that going on anyway, so they've got to have
it's a fantasy thing
too.
The
Oracle of Delphi.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a big one.
It's cool. So cool. Yeah. I'm very excited for Percy. It's a series that we're gonna go through. Obviously on Extra, we're gonna cover it. So next week we will definitely come back and do the rest of What If. So that's going to be episodes 6 through 9. So homework for anyone who hasn't watched it, Garrison, to catch up on What If. And I know Roth will probably be back next week. Although I realize next Tuesday, he'll be back. Next Tuesday's the 2nd. So yeah, what else does he have? He's got to get back to life. He's got to get off the road and get back to life now. So we'll cover What If episodes 6 through 9, and then obviously episode 3. And I fully realize the new episodes release on Tuesdays, but we're still going to talk about episode 3 of Percy Jackson. This one is called We Visit the Garden Gnome Emporium.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's Mrs. M's Emporium.
Oh, okay. Mrs. Megorium. No, I'm just kidding. Her Wonder Emporium. No, that's a bad movie joke. So, anyways, thank you, Andrew. Thank you for hanging out the whole time. I really appreciate it.
I know
Rhett was in the chat for a little while. Brian was in the chat for a little while. So I really appreciate all those that were interacting with us throughout the show. And we will see you guys next week. Garrison, where can people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter at GRyfun3, GRYFUN3. Letterboxd at GRyfun, where I've been watching some movies lately, going to the theater a little more.
I love it.
Yeah, I loved going to the movie theater. Wonka was a delight.
I'm hearing good things about.
I think I've seen it.
Audiences.
Yeah,
Paul King is Paul King does whimsy and fun kid movies really well. I'm not saying it's Gene Wilder Wonka. It's not. It's not.
It shouldn't try to be either.
Yeah, but it's better than Johnny Depp's and Tim Burton's.
Now, careful. Now, let's not go crazy here.
Also, I don't want to be called a fake Percy fan. It is Auntie M's Gnome Emporium. So
Auntie M's Gnome.
Get it right.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Earl is off the grid for the most part. However, if you're lucky enough, you can catch him in the Deucecast in the pretentious corner.
It could happen. I drop in.
I even dropped a pretentious trailer in there the other day specifically for Dr. Earl, and he has yet to watch it.
Wait a minute, what?
And he's going to be very excited when he comes to find that trailer.
No, I did see this.
You did see that trailer. Okay, yeah. It looked very interesting.
Yeah.
Anytime you get Mads Mikkelsen in his actual language, it's a good movie.
It's gonna be glorious.
I'm in on that. I'm 100% in on that. So like I said, we will be back next Tuesday. I really appreciate it. Hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas. Hope everybody has a great New Year. I just wrote, this is the last Extra of 2023. This is crazy.
Hey guys, it's been a great year.
We watched a lot of good television and some bad television, but we were here for all of it. And we will She-Hulk.
That was
here's better luck to Marvel. It was this last one.
Better luck to Marvel.
Secret Invasion.
Oh gosh, Lord. Secret Invasion. Oh my goodness. Yes, it was a weird year for television for sure. But we'll be here in 2024 to walk you through whatever crazy shows are going to be coming out. We'll try not to take
we'll
breaks.
Shepherd you through. We'll walk you through.
But if there's a lull in programming, we might be forced to take breaks. But we'll for the most part figure it out, and so we're not taking breaks. I am going to officially announce, and I know there's going to be some disappointed people, that we are not going to do an Aquaman roundtable, an Aquaman 2 roundtable. I'm really sorry. It's just that bad.
What?
People. It's just that
dude. It
bad.
won the weekend. It won the weekend.
Dude.
It did. It won the weekend.
Second lowest DCE.
Second lowest DCE. Yeah, exactly. I
think the lowest was Suicide Squad, which premiered on HBO Max at the same time. So at least it had an excuse during the height of sales.
I can't bring myself to talk about that. There's other movies. I need to be spending my Thursday night. It was going to be Thursday this week. I need to be spending my Thursday night to watch some Oscar movies. So I'm probably going to go see like Ferrari or Poor Things or something like that. And go to the theater. So see you guys next week though for more Percy Jackson and What If. Everyone have a great New Year's Day, Eve, bowl games, all the fun stuff.
Deuce.